Alright, welcome back. We are here with another video for our options feature inside the game. In the last video, we started on our function to open the options. And right now, I'm going to continue and create the close function. So in this same group, I'm going to scroll down to underneath everything we've created. And I'm going to right click on this add events to options menu, and I'm going to go down to add function, and this one's going to be options close. And the same way we did this up here, we created this parameter speed, and then we set what we wanted speed to equal, and then we used that speed variable throughout this code. I'm going to do the same thing down here because I want the speed to move a little differently than the 0.8 seconds up there. So on this one, we can right click on it and go to add parameter. And I'm going to call this one speed as well. And because it is contained within this block of code will read this speed variable, and this block of code will read its own speed variable. So let's go ahead and add an action to that. I'm going to go to system and set value. And I want to get that speed variable. It's the only speed variable in there, and I know that it's the right one because we are inside this particular block of code. And I'm going to set this speed to 0.4, half the time as our open function. In our open function, we use the tween behavior to flip all these out so they could be displayed. So to close the options, I want to basically do the opposite of everything we did up here. So let's go down here and add an action, and let's pick our button option Facebook, then scroll down to the tween properties, and we want, let's go down further, tween to properties. And the property is position, and our end X and end Y values are going to be right back at the middle of that cogwheel. So I'm just going to use the X and Y position of that cogwheel. For end X, I'm going to type in btn underscore options. I want the btn options cogwheel object. And then we'll put .x for that. And then do the same thing down here. btn and pick our btn options .y. And then for our time, we already have that set up. I'm just going to type in speed. And for our ease, I'll go ahead and change this to, I'm going to pick in back. Hit done on that. Now the good thing about this, the location we want it to tween back to is going to be the same for all of our option objects. So all of our buttons are going to go back to the same place. And they're going to use all these same properties. The only thing that's going to be different is the object. So with this line of code highlighted, I'm going to Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and I'm going to paste it again using Control-V, and one more time so that we have 4. So let's choose this second one, highlight it, and press R on the keyboard, and we want to replace the button, and we'll change it from Facebook. I'll do this one as Twitter. Then we can highlight the third one, R on the keyboard, replace Facebook with YouTube, and then the last one, the fourth one down here, same thing, R, replace the Facebook with volume. So now we have closed all those back in, and our icons have already been pinned to the button, so they will follow with them. And also up here, we rotated the button. So I would like to reverse this action. So I'm actually going to highlight this, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to paste it. And if we double click to go in it, we can change the end value of 90 degrees to 0. I'm going to change the time to 0.3, and then I will change this out sinusoidal to in sinusoidal. So now what is happening here is we created these objects up here. So every time we open the options, it's going to create new buttons. And if we go to our map and we play this, You see I hit it and they fly out. I hit it again and they just keep flying again and again. So when we close it and we pull everything back in, we want to get rid of all of these objects because it's just going to create new ones each time we open the options. And one of the great things about Construct 3 is something we've done already. If we come over in our project panel, we're going to create another family. So right click on the folder, add family. We want to pick all of our base buttons and all of our icons. So you should have all 8 of these objects. Hit OK. I'm going to call this FAM_options. And then over here in our close function, we can add an action. Pick our new family we just created, FAM options, and type in destroy. And that will get rid of all our buttons. Now, if you haven't already noticed, we do have a little bit of an issue here. When we close the options and these go flying back into the cogwheel, our destroy is going to immediately be red and destroy all these objects before they animate in. So let's add a wait. So add action, system, wait. I want to give it at least 0.4 seconds to finish its animation. But I'm going to break these up. So I'm going to say 0.2. Hit done. And I'm going to slide that above destroy. So all these objects fly back into the cogwheel. Then we wait and then we destroy it. But we still have 0.2 seconds to make up. So I'm going to highlight that, copy and paste it, and I'm going to drag one up above the cogwheel. So now, because of this ease we have, the in back, what's going to happen is when we hit the button, all the button objects are going to fly out just slightly and then go back in. Kind of like a rubber band expanding and then coming back in. So I'm going to give it this 0.2 seconds to wait for that animation to happen, and then we'll start rotating, and then we'll wait the rest of that 0.2 seconds, and then we'll get rid of everything. I believe we are done with this function. So I'm going to go into the options event sheet. I haven't changed the color of my tab, and you know how I like to be organized, so I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to change the tab color to solid black and change the text color to solid white. So we set up the touch control for our cogwheel and called the options open. So now we need to tell our options feature when it is okay to open and when it is okay to close. And we're going to do that by giving it a variable. And we're going to store this variable inside the cogwheel object, so it will be an instance variable. That way, the variable can only be used or referenced when the cogwheel is on screen. So if we select our cogwheel in the project panel, we can come over to the properties and edit instance variables, add, and call this options called. And it'll be a 0 or a 1. And this is going to just tell us if the options have been called up or not. So if I highlight this whole block of code and hit B on the keyboard, it will give me a blank sub-event. And I can double click into this area off to the left and we can put something in it. So I'm going to pick our button options object here, the cogwheel, and scroll down to compare instance variable. And there's our options called. And when it is equal to 0, which is going to be false, so our options are not called up on screen, we'll hit done. This is where I want our open function to be called. So I'm going to just click and drag that down here. And the reason this is in a sub event is because we have to check for if it is 0 or 1, and those are two entirely different events. I'm going to highlight this block up here at the top again and hit B, and I will double click to go into it, go to our cogwheel, scroll down, compare an instance variable, and I want to know if options called is equal to 1, which is true. And then we can add an action, functions, and go to OptionsClose. We already determined our speed inside the function, so we don't need that. So when we tap on the cogwheel, if the options are not on screen yet, then we'll call the function open, and then when we tap the button, if the options are on screen, it will run the close function. But now we need to tell this variable when to change. So up here, let's add an action, get our cogwheel, scroll down to set value, and we want to change our options called to 1 because it is now true. And then with that selected, we can hold Control on the keyboard, click and drag a copy down here. Click to go into it, change that 1 to a 0. Once we run the function, we're telling this variable to change back to the other one. So here's another little interesting thing that happens. When we tap on this, we start reading what this variable is. If we keep tapping on it over and over again, it's going to keep checking this variable, and well, it has potential to just kind of freak out and go crazy. So I'm going to put just a tiny little wait period in there to give the button and the functions time to read out and animate and come on screen or go off screen before we can hit the button again. So let's add an action here, go to System, Wait, and I'm just going to do, let's say, 0.2. And we can move that up right after the function before we change the variable. And then highlight that, Control, click, drag a copy, and make sure 1 is down there as well. Now that we know this event sheet is on our map event sheet included, we can go to our map layout. Let's play that. That opens it, and that closes it. And you see how our cogwheel turns as it shoots out, and then we have this little animation of these buttons. They kind of expand and then come in, and then the cogwheel reverses. I'm clicking as fast as I can on this, and it's actually taking time and making me wait for those to bounce out and animate. And it looks like my buttons are cut off at the bottom of the screen. We can actually easily fix that. If we highlight our cogwheel here on the actual layout, I'm going to hit the up arrow on the keyboard just a few times to move it up. Maybe something like that. And maybe move it over a little, and we can play it again. So something like that. Just find a good spot for yours. Okay, it looks like our buttons are, or our icons aren't all the way in the center of our buttons. So I'm going to fix that. In our project panel, I'm actually going to do some cleanup here. I'm going to close the families, and I'm going to put all of these buttons and icons in the buttons folder. And I will open up the buttons folder. And I'm going to open up the button, and not the icon, but the button. So button Facebook, double click to open that in our editor. And you can see that the origin point is not in the center. So I'm going to move it up on the y-axis. I'm going to do 3 pixels. So instead of 30, I'm going to type in 27. And I think that actually might be it. It looks like the X might be just off too, to the right. So I'm going to just go 1 pixel to the left. So instead of 27, I'm going to have 26. So X and Y, let's change those to 26 and 27. And then open up Twitter. Let's do the same thing. 26 and 27. Same thing with the volume. And then our last one here. Let's play that. Let's see if that did the trick. Oh yeah, much better. The volume looks like it's a little high. The rest of them I think look good. I like our animation. I'm going to change that volume. I'm going to get it to go down a pixel or 2. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's off center here, so I'm going to go up. Let's just do 14. See what that looks like. I think that looks good. Okay, you can play around with yours, find out the way you would like yours to look. In the next video, we will get into creating the links so that our buttons have functionality, and we will implement the mute button as well, the volume control. So I'm going to end this one here, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to save.